I'm going to close with this, Brian. If CNN were to call you tomorrow and say, we want you back, but not to host a show, but to run the network, what would you do there? What would you change there? Is there anything that you would make much different than we have right now?
Well, first I have to say that call's not coming. I'm sorry to break it to you. Second, I have to say that I don't even know if they have my number anymore. I'm just kidding. I do stay in touch with lots of friends there. I think so. Look, I'm stalling because I'm trying to think of the right answer. Because I'm not going to lie and act like I wouldn't want to do that job. That's one of the most interesting jobs in America. It's definitely one of the most interesting jobs in journalism. What would I do? Number one, I would say there's nothing broken about CNN. And it's certainly nothing broken that can't be repaired. It is the Coca-Cola of news. It has the best news muscles. It has the best infrastructure. You'd much rather be CNN than one of these also ran news networks or news divisions. I think what would I do differently? I'm still stalling. I think I have an answer though. I think number one, I think television's about consistency and relationships. I think people watch people listen to people. You want to have a consistent, relatable team. In other words, you don't want to go moving all the pieces around the board the way that happened in 2022 and 2023. Almost every hour of CNN has a different anchor now than it did 2 years ago. There are a few exceptions, thankfully. Anderson, Aaron Burnett, Wolf Blitzer, and Jake. But most of the other pieces have all been moved around the board. And that hurts the audience. The audience doesn't want to see that. What the audience wants, I think, is a sense of urgency and a sense of understanding. That the only side we're on is your side. We're not on Team Blue or Team Red. We're on Team the public. We want to defend and help and support and inform the public. And I think within that construct of the only side we're on is your side, you can take a stand in favor of what is true and not what is false. You can defend the public against liars and demagogues. But you've also got to explore why lying and demagoguery has an appeal. And that's where I come down on Trump, Jamie. I meant to say this earlier. The story is not really Trump anymore. It's Trumpism. It's Trump voters. It's the voters. It's who are we as a country? Who are we? And yes, it's still important to cover what Trump says and report on it. But what's more interesting are how people react to what Trump says. People use, how liberals like to complain about diner stories. There goes the New York Times interviewing voters at diners again. I say, give me more diner stories. I want more of them. I want to go to diners where there are non-voters, where there are RFK voters, where there are Biden and Trump voters. I want to hear more from the voters and less from the demagogues and politicians. And so maybe that's a part of my answer about CNN also, is try to point the camera as much as you can back at the audience and hear what the audience is feeling and thinking. But I think that's, look, a lot of what I'm saying CNN does, obviously, but I think that would be my answer. You got to give a sense of urgency and a sense of understanding what the audience is all about, and then be their advocate for what is true in the world, because most people just want to know what is true. Most people don't want to be fooled. Most people don't want to be condescended to. And by the way, I admit there were probably a couple of times on CNN that I was a little too in your face. I was, I was probably guilty of giving a lecture or two or three. I look back at that and say, I was learning. We're all learning. We're all just people. But I think that's what viewers want. They want to know that the network, the newsroom, the anchor is on their side. And I'm rambling now, so I'll just stop.
Brian Stelter, thank you for joining the Dispatch podcast.
You didn't tell me if you'd watch my version of CNN.
I don't watch cable news very much anymore.
Oh, burn. What a burn. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good talking to you.